right now. Listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth. Right now.
Ooh.
That was the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it.
It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody. Showtime.
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
In one corner, we had Donald Trump. In the other corner, we had Hillary Clinton. Last night, the two of them stood behind podiums and they talked at each other. They talked about each other. They talked about themselves. Did they talk about the stuff that you care about? That's the real question. The debate last night, some people say, was all about the candidates, and it wasn't about me, and it wasn't about my issues, and it wasn't about the stuff that's important to me. That's what we're talking about right now on Mac's World Live. Hi, I'm Chris Roloff, filling in for J. Michael McCoy. Frank DeVers Thomas is here. He's ready to talk about Donald Trump. Jeb is producing and filling in for Bob Montserrat. Man, we got a lot of fill-ins today. Ron Carlson, who is no stranger to the microphone, but he's going to be reading your texts on the air when you send us a text and give us your thoughts about the debate last night, your thoughts about the conversation last night, your thoughts about the things that didn't get talked about that you really wish had gotten talked about. You know, Monica Lewinsky never got brought up. I didn't think she was going to be brought up. Benghazi never got brought up. The email scandal really didn't get brought up in any kind of depth. There's a lot of issues that weren't talked about. What are the things that mattered to you? Religious liberty didn't get talked about last night. Did you want to hear about that? I wanted to hear about that. There was a lot of things a lot of issues, a lot of topics that weren't addressed last night, and we want to hear from you. Give us a call at 515-244-0077, or you can send us a text at 515-809-0993. And let's get this started off with a bang and go to the 997,000-star general, however many he has. I'm not as good at this as Mac is, but Brad, Army Brad, is on the phone calling in. Brother, how are you?
Good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. So did you watch? Did you have your popcorn with you? Did you watch?
I actually had popcorn, and I watched the whole thing. As painful as that was, I would have to actually call it a draw on both sides, purely for the debate. But for the election, I think that Hillary is a better debater. She's had more practice. But overall, Trump did not do anything that made him look unpresidential. You might not necessarily agree with everything that he said, but it's not going to push any Hillary supporters into his camp. It's not going to push any Trump supporters into Hillary's camp. But he didn't hurt himself, and that made him, in the long term, the actual winner.
Now, you wanted to call in and talk about the Second Amendment, which wasn't really addressed. Well, no, it was addressed. Let me back that up. It was addressed, and what we discovered last night was that Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton agree when it comes to the Second Amendment.
Well, I don't think they agree on the Second Amendment. I think they agree on trying to keep weapons out of the hands of terrorists. But I don't think the no-fly list is actually would do that. But that's a kind of going off on different tangents on that.
What did you think, Brad, about here's something that I think is controversial that he said, maybe. It didn't seem controversial to me. But he used two words, and he wasn't talking about a television show. He was talking about law and order. And he said that in regards to this whole stop and frisk thing, in regards to the Second Amendment issue, people having access to guns. What did you think about that bit of the debate last night?
I think that was brought up because of the insanity going on in places like Dallas and Charleston and Charlotte, North Carolina, where there's riots, and just because a law enforcement officer has to use deadly force, if the person happens to be African American, there's an eruption of violence. They had a similar shooting here in Des Moines, and there was no even discussion of it on the national media. A black police officer under a black police captain shoots an African-American person in Charlotte, and there's the whole city explodes. And I think that is what he was touching on, as opposed to anything else that you could put under that whole law and order. And he did do a good job, and I think, in pointing out that there's a giant hypocrisy in the media, where there's more people dying in Chicago than were dying in Iraq during the height of the war, and nobody wants to talk about it.
Did you think that Hillary Clinton was a little bit racist last night? I did. To be honest with you, Brad.
I think she's very racist, but the media will not touch on that.
And here's how I think she did it. And it was talking about this issue. You know, Donald Trump got pretty passionate about this issue, about law and order, when he was talking about protecting the communities of minorities who are experiencing a lot of violence right now. Who are a lot of internal violence, not violence from cops coming in and shooting the place up, but actual internal violence. And he was passionate about bringing peace and punishing the wicked in that area. Punishing the wicked, that's my language. But he was saying, let's bring some law and order in here, because he cares about those communities, because he cares about the people in those communities. And he painted the picture that in many communities where there are large amounts of crime, we need to be doing something about that. And Hillary Clinton did her I think this is just upper middle class white smugs, and she goes, well, that's just very rude of you. You know, the black church is very strong, and there are very many positive things about the African American community. And that was smug, and it was racist, and it was rude, and it was upper white, middle class, white privilege talk. She just feels bad that she can't say anything about the fact that there are communities in the United States where people are being shot and killed, and they're killing one another, and she just wants to pretend like, oh, that's not really happening. It's all the white man's fault. She's buying into the whole thing, man.
Well, I think she continues in it, and she gets a lot of her money off of that whole situation.
Oh, yeah, and Trump.
It's like she doesn't want to damage her political feeders, when if they actually cared about the truth, they would know that the Democratic Party is the party that's always supported the things that they're truly against. So,
well, and I will tell you, for all the things that Donald Trump did, Brad, last night, one of the things I will give him an applause for is he said that very thing to her face. He said, the politicians, you have been using these people, as political pawns. Now, he didn't use those language, but he addressed that issue directly. He said, you guys just use them for political gain, and then you leave them in the dust. And I want to protect their communities, the communities that are under violence. I want to do something about it. I want to bring law and order to that. And I thought that was a very proactive approach on this issue, Brad.
Well, and the thing that he said that I thought was the most powerful of anything he said, when he goes, you've been there for 30 years and haven't done anything, and you're talking about it now, but you still won't do anything.
Brad, yes, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. It's just it was political talk. It was political talk. Frank is not allowed to talk. Frank, go ahead, buddy. I'm sorry.
Well, Brad, I mean, clearly there's a double standard here. When a Republican points out all the misery that's going on in the black community, it's racist. I mean, Trump is simply pointing out things that everybody acknowledges. But here's another hypocritical double standard. All during George W. Bush's term, where he was trying to prosecute a war in Iraq, the media come on nightly, bludgeoning him over the head with the casualties in the war. And people made the point that, hey, there is, Maxine Waters oversees a community in Los Angeles. There's people that oversee these communities in Baltimore, Philadelphia, Chicago, that there's more murders on the street on a nightly basis than what was going on in Iraq, and nobody addresses the situation. But when Trump stands up and says, hey, things aren't going so well, then all of a sudden people, apologists for the black community, say, well, what problems? What are you pointing at us for? What do you think we're so bad?
I agree. Frank, you're exactly right. That's exactly what Hillary did last night. She said, what problem?
What problem?
Donald Trump points out a lot of problems, and she says, what problems? She tried to pretend like Donald Trump's being racist by pointing out that there are problems in our inner cities. Hello, people. That's not a racist statement. There is crime. There is murder. There are people shooting people, and somebody's got to do something about it. And right now, I hear Hillary Clinton saying, you know what? We need to put more restrictions on the police department. We need to give them better training. We need to
more restrictions on guns.
More restrictions on guns, et cetera, et cetera. Brad, thank you so much, bud. You got any last comments before I let you go here?
Not that I can think of.
Buddy, keep listening, and
we something. I'll just come on up.
Yeah, come on up, brother. All right, thanks. Hey, Tim, we got a couple of minutes. You still there?
I was just. Can I make 2 points?
Yeah, buddy.
And then I gotta go. I gotta go see my uncle. So I think you said, Chris, when you came back from the top of the hour, that Benghazi wasn't addressed, and that I think falls squarely at Trump's feet because Hillary at one point makes some comment about how you want to challenge my endurance. I stood up to 11 hours of hearings, and he just watched that one go right by.
He sure did.
How do you not hang that entirely around her neck? And really, here's my last point. I was just having a conversation with your pastor here about 20 minutes ago, and I had this conversation, and this should be a runaway. We should be measuring for the drapes in the White House at this point. And I'll violate one of my own personal rules here a little bit because I think I could probably put several people in this sentence right now and make this true. But I think it's especially true with Senator Cruz, who we all know I supported. If he was standing on that debate stage last night, man, there might be sympathy cards sent out to Hillary at this point because he would have decimated her. Last night was so bad, and if we had 60 minutes too long. Mr. Trump might have looked okay in the first half hour, but after that, it started talking about his golf course and everything else. And
you're listening to 99.3 FM, The Truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Your husband signed NAFTA, which was, you called it the gold standard.
Well,
you called it the gold standard. President Obama's fault? Is it President Obama's fault?
Even announced to the debt.
But you have no plan.
Oh, I do.
Secretary,
in fact,
you have no plan.
I am going batty. So listen, as long as we're all here at once, why don't we just try to get along with each other? Or we just turn all that noise that you're making into music.
Good afternoon. It is 4:21 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. Why can't we be friends? Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are. It's true. They are friends. They are friends. We had just a few minutes ago on the phone was Army Brad, and all of a sudden, by way of television magic, he's right here in front of a real microphone.
A real microphone.
A real microphone. Hey, Brad.
Sir.
Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you.
Now, you're wearing the special green that makes you invisible, so you're in a special room.
All part of the plan.
Yeah, that's right.
I can't be seen. I can be here, but I can't be seen.
That's right. That's right. It's really true what Max says. Your voice is welcome and your presence. There you are.
Oh, that's cool.
There it is. Invisible Brad. That's absolutely hilarious.
Partially invisible Brad.
This is Chris Roloff filling in for J. Michael McCoy. This is Max World Live. We've got a few more minutes together, but we want to hear from you. What your thoughts are on the debate last night. That's what we're talking about. Call us at 515-244-0077 or send us a text, 515-809-0993. We got a text a little bit earlier today. And Ron, why don't you go ahead and read that for us?
There you go. Here it goes. My issues are the divisions in this country, rich and poor, ethnic and cultural divisions. And Hillary, for what it's worth, will do much more to heal those divisions than Trump. She will not heal the divisions between Republicans and Democrats, obviously, but I don't even think Jesus could do that. Hillary may be robotic and smug at times, but at least she is mature and presidential. Trump is a bully and a jerk and should be nowhere near the nuclear missile launch codes.
That is definitely a Hillary. That is a hook, line, and sinker Hillary
That's a person
supporter.
that actually doesn't think Hillary has been too deceitful. She needs to be a little bit more deceitful. That person is troubling to me, scary to me.
Frank wants to talk about that.
I would address that text by saying, I guess this texter's never heard of Hillary's enemy list, who she puts her people of her own party on, as Ted Kennedy and Claire McCaskill, senator of Missouri, got put on because they had the audacity to vote for Obama in the primary over her. She has a long memory. She's going to do nothing to heal this country. Nothing. She will only further divide the classes, rich, poor, black, white, young, old, male, female. She will simply divide this country and parse this country up, and you won't recognize it.
Well, we talked about this in the last break, and maybe the texter heard this, or maybe they didn't. But Donald Trump said last night, the texter talked about the division between the rich and the poor. And there's always going to be a division against the rich and the poor. That there always is. Those that have and those that have not. There's going to be a division. Call on the generosity of men, individuals, to reach out to the poor, to reach out to be the healing. We don't call on the government of the United States to fix these problems necessarily. There's good ways to do programs, but that's not the solution here. When we talk about division, let's talk about the division a little bit. What is Hillary Clinton doing to bridge the division amongst the races in this country right now?
Nothing.
Right now we have President Barack Obama. He's been a president for 8 years.
7.5.
7.5. Thank you. Donald Trump pointed that out to be accurate. He does get some numbers right every once in a while.
You know, the surprising thing about that, since you mentioned it, is normally when you go back, Donald Trump is actually right, which is scary. Everybody goes, "Oh no, you're wrong," and then they go back and go, "Oh yeah, he's right," but they say it real quiet. He's right.
Oopsies.
Don't look. Oh, he did say that.
But we've got what is Hillary doing to say, let's stop the violence amongst our citizens? She's saying Donald Trump is a bully. Does that stop the violence? I don't think that stops the violence. I think that creates more.
You asked the question. That was so far the only thing I've heard her say is Donald Trump is a bully. So he doesn't have a plan, and Donald Trump is a bully. Donald Trump is a bigot. But I think, and we have nothing to really go on it because he's a businessman and not a politician. So he doesn't have a long track record. He doesn't have 26 years of evidence of what he's done in public life.
Right.
But I believe him, and I don't know why. I have no proof, but I think he truly does want to help people of every station if elected president, because he's not going to be getting 100 or 300 million or however much the Clintons have got from running for office. He's going to lose money in the bigger picture. He's losing money to run for president. He's said for a very long time that the only thing that would cause him to run for president before he ever come into the public life really was if it got so bad. And I think he saw it getting so bad for men, for women, for whites, for blacks, for Asians, everything. He goes, I have to get involved. And when he goes in and says, I forget exactly how he says it, Frank can probably quote him verbatim, but he said, what do you have to lose? African-American community, what do you have to lose? Flint, you can't drink the water. They don't make cars here anymore. You can't drink the water. What do you have to lose? The Democrats sending you down the river without a paddle. What do you have to lose?
Go ahead, Frank.
He says, you used to make the cars in Flint, and you couldn't drink the water in Mexico. But now the cars are made in Mexico, and you can't drink the water in Flint.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, if you've ever wanted to say something to Frank, now is the time to say something to Frank. That was funny, though, by the way. That was really funny. 515-244-0077, or you can send us a text at 515-809-0993. And we've got one, Ron.
Yes, this individual said, I didn't watch the debate. I've already made up my mind. Nothing that was said last night would change it. Personally, I think Hillary deserves to be in prison.
Yeah.
So you're going to vote for her then?
I think that would be a solid no on that one.
I think that's a solid no.
I believe they're indicating they're going to not vote for her.
One of the things that he talked about that I really enjoyed, there's no secret, guys. I was not a big Trump guy. I did not caucus for Trump, and I'm still not all that jazzed about Donald Trump being the Republican nominee, to be honest with you. But last night, two things that he said that really give me pause was him bringing up law and order. As I think that was a bold statement. I think that was a truthful statement. I think that he was willing to, and it took courage, man. It took courage to stand on that stage in front of that many people and say, we need law and order in this country. Because I agree with him. I agree with him right now. We've got to be doing something about crime in the country, and we've got these riots that have just gotten completely out of hand. Now, I don't know how to solve it, and I don't know that I want a militarized police force or something crazy, but I do think that we need to do something about the crime in this country instead of punishing the police officers. Right now, the Democratic Party, our president and Secretary Clinton, she just wants to put all the burden back on the police officers and say the police officers need to get an act. They need to get their act together. They need to change. They need to go to sensitivity training. They need to go to racism training, whatever the case may be is. And they need to change. When is someone going to stand up and say, criminals need to stop doing bad stuff, and we're not going to let you get away with doing bad stuff anymore? And he brought up, not only mentioned law and order, but he specifically addressed the stop and frisk thing, which was a very fascinating thing to consider again. Now, look, we've got phone calls here, and so I want to get to the phone callers, Frank, because I know you've got some stuff that you want to say, and you're very important to me, and I love hearing from Frank all the time.
That's
always.
right.
Love hearing from Frank.
Wink, wink, nod, nod.
Say no more.
Say no more. Know what I mean?
Everybody starts laughing.
And so let's go to the phones. I don't know. Jeb didn't tell me yet. But Jeb, who's on the phone?
We have Russ and Debbie. Russ and Debbie, welcome to the show.
Well, let's go with Russ first. Russ, how are you doing?
Not good. I'm starting to look every day more and more like that darn picture on my driver's license.
Oh, man, what a bummer.
Scaring the crap out of me, yeah. Hey, I didn't listen to the debates. I did go over to my mother's place yesterday for a little bit. She had it on, and every time Hillary would come on and start talking, she'd mute it. And I go, hey, I understand that. But anyway, anybody but Hillary. Hillary is just, she's the most evil. She's the worst candidate we ever had running for president, and I don't think we'll ever find anybody close to her ever again. I hope not.
Trump is pretty close, Russ. Look, I get you. I get that Hillary is not your favorite person, but Trump is not winning like anybody's favorite guy of the year award. I don't even think anybody in this room is like, Trump is the guy that I really wanted from day one.
No.
I think Trump is unfortunately the person that we're settled with. And so, I mean, but that kind of that being said, but one more quick thought. We got a couple other calls, Russ, that I want to get to. So one more thought.
One more thought is I have a lot of really good Christian friends, and a lot of them were, I thought Cruz would be the guy, and a lot of them even said negative things about Cruz. And so I don't know. I mean, I think they're probably more educated than I am in some areas. And even though I did have what I call a government education, get it? Government education in a government public school. Anyway, you guys take care, and I really love your program, and good luck to you and Mac and everybody else over there.
Thanks, Russ. Thanks for listening. We'd love to see you again sometime. Swing on by. Hey, let's go to Debbie calling in here in Mac's World. Debbie called in at 515-244-0077. Debbie, what's going on?
Hey, I just had a couple of thoughts. First of all, I only caught a couple minutes at the end of the debate yesterday on this station here. And while I was listening to it, one of Hillary's closing remarks reminded me actually of one of her husband's campaign commercials back when he first ran against Bush. And that commercial was what convinced me to vote for George Bush. And what Hillary said last night almost convinced me to vote for Donald Trump. In both of them, they said the other candidate will take away a woman's right to choose. And if you elect this man, then women will no longer have the right to safe and secure abortions. And I thought, boy, that's just about good reason enough to vote for the candidate that they're trying to steer me away from. I do tend to be a never Trumper, but I have to admit that comment from Hillary last night might have changed my mind.
Well, no doubt. Hillary Clinton is one of the most pro-death candidates we've had running in a long time. I mean, she wants to take this. She wants to take this a lot further than it is, and that's the thing that really scares me. It's one thing.
How can you go any further?
Well, what is
till they're like 18 months old?
No. What she wants to do is she wants to overturn the Hyde Amendment, and the Hyde Amendment is what prevents federal tax money actually funding abortion. She wants to overturn that. She wants to make sure that our federal funds go to killing babies. She's not satisfied enough that we can do it now. She wants to make sure. She wants to make sure that our federal tax money goes to killing babies. Debbie, thank you. I agree with you very much. That is so terrifying. That is so terrifying. That makes me think I would vote for anybody other than that. That is heinous. It is heinous,
yes.
Debbie.
I don't tend to, I really have been a person who said I don't think that Trump really is going to be any better for us than Hillary. I don't trust him any farther than I can throw her.
You don't think you could throw Trump? I don't think I could throw Trump either.
Debbie,
He's
I
not
would
a
say
small
this.
man.
The one thing about Trump, though, is he tells you exactly what he believes. He's not going to do it because it's politically.
Yeah, he does. He seems to. He talks about how horrible abortion is, and then he says, "Well, but Planned Parenthood did some really great things." And then he tells us what kind of judges he's going to put out there, and then he says that his radically pro-choice sister would make a great candidate. So
Debbie is on the phone. Debbie, thank you so much for calling in. If you want to hang out, you can. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from our sponsors, the people that make it possible for 99.3 to keep on rocking. So pay attention to what you hear coming up next right here on 99.3.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs,
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
To the debt,
But you have no plan.
Educate. Oh, I do.
Secretary,
In fact,
you
I
have no plan.
A book about lose us 3.5 million jobs and explode.
You are going
debt,
to approve one of
which
the biggest
would
tax
have
cuts
a
in
recession,
history.
James. And so
I am going batty. So listen, as long as we're all here at once, why don't we just try to get along with each other? Or we just turn all that noise that you're making into music.
Good afternoon. It's 4:30 o'clock. We're moving our way to the 5 o'clock hour, and you just jumped in your car and you're listening to us. This is Max World Live on 99.3 FM, and we're talking about the debate, not just the noise you just heard. There's Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton going back and forth, interrupting each other, which they did a lot last night. In fact, Donald Trump interrupted Hillary Clinton. Somebody counted 51 different times. Now, I don't know how you add that all up, but there was a lot of back and forth, and it was a fairly heated debate. Frank pointed out that he thinks Donald Trump really held back last night. What do you think? Did Donald Trump hold back? Did he sound like a buffoon? Did he sound presidential? Did he sound like the man you want in the White House? I want to hear from you, 515-244-0077, or you can send us a text at 515-809-0993. And before we go to any texts that we've got, I want to go to Kathy, who's been patiently waiting on the phone. Kathy, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
You know, I'm enjoying the fall weather, to be honest with you, Kathy.
Oh,
I like it.
Awesome.
I love it.
Oh, I love it too.
So
I was going back to your discussion about law and order and how Trump wanted law and order. And you know, you said, I don't know how to do that. Well, just at that moment I thought, let's say, I looked at the videos from the Charlotte riot, okay? And there were a lot of people who were totally covered. And there were a lot of white people throwing things through windows at a Black Lives Matter rally. I think it's not just it's always a conspiracy theory because I lived in Chicago for a while. I think that there are some other groups coming into these riots and rioting and making everything much worse.
Kathy, if I'm hearing you correctly, I think what I heard you say is that you're seeing the footage of these riots, and you're not just seeing African American folks. You're seeing white folks. You're seeing people from all over coming in and throwing rocks and breaking cars and robbing stores. Yeah.
So here's my answer. My answer is that if you come in and your face is covered, then you should be able to be taken down by the police and photographed.
Hey, Kathy.
Not shot, but photographed.
What you're saying is exactly right. Most of the people that are arrested in these things, they find out, or most of the people arrested in Ferguson, Missouri, for example, were from California. People are bussed into these situations. The finger gets pointed a lot at George Soros as an agitator of this and funding this because these people don't get there for free. And there has to be some orchestrated effort to fund tickets, to fund ways for these people to come in. And they are anarchists out to agitate and stir the pot in these situations. And generally the people in the communities are just law-abiding people that would like the violence in their communities to stop.
Exactly, but it's casting dispersion upon the groups that are gathering in a peaceful manner. And I just think that's got to be stopped. So if you come in and you can't uncover your face enough for a photograph, then you need to not be around there.
Kathy, thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for your call. Kathy called in at 515-244-0077, and she was talking about the comment that I made. Donald Trump said that we need law and order in this country.
We are a country of laws, or we're supposed to be.
Say that again.
We are a country of laws, or we're supposed to be. We have a constitution. We have the rule of law. And if we ignore that, then we have the chaos and anarchy that you have in North Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about the debate last night. I want to hear from you. You know, Debbie called in a little bit ago and talked about the life issue. The life issue wasn't brought up. Religious liberty wasn't brought up. Now, I don't know if those are going to be brought up in other debates. I wonder. You know, Hillary Clinton doesn't care about those issues. She's not on the quote life issue. She's for death. That I'm not. Don't get mad at me. I mean, that's her position, right? I mean, I that's where she's coming from. And I don't know where Donald Trump is coming from on that. I hope that he will be a pro-life president if he gets elected, that kind of thing. But I sent out the question on Facebook, and I want to share with you one of the comments that I got back. I asked, did you watch the debate last night? What was talked about? Was it what was important to you? I got this message. No, nothing of any substance was said at all. They bickered. Trump has zero self-control and cannot even articulate a simple sentence without making up crazy words and repeating himself over and over. Hillary was narcissistic in her snarky sneers and fake smiles and claiming some virtuous moral standards that her life has proven over and over is the complete opposite. At our media, in this case, Lester is to the mix. It was out of control circus that was exhausting to watch. The biggest loser in this whole mess was the American people. And I want to go to Frank on this a little bit. You know, Frank, we were talking about this. A lot of people said Trump was interrupting, Trump was loud, Trump was brash, he was unpresidential, et cetera, et cetera. But you, Frank, believe that Trump held back.
Well, clearly, listen, she smashed him at the very end on some derogatory things that he said, and most of them were about Rosie O'Donnell. And, all Trump had to do was come back and tell her to her face that here's a woman standing here that covered for her husband's serial abuse of women all through his presidency, going back to the Arkansas days, for political gain. She stayed with him for political gain because Rosie O'Donnell was one of the outspoken people who said she should have left Bill after the Monica Lewinsky incident, which didn't get mentioned last night, but clearly he held back. But I want to explain something before I lose the time here about what Charles Krauthammer says. He's my go-to guy when I want unbiased, unvarnished opinion of something. He said it's basically a low bar that Trump had. He just needs to stand on the stage for 90 minutes, show that he can go toe-to-toe with her, and that prove himself to be a viable candidate, not have any major gaffes, and not come off like he's bat crap crazy. And I think he met that bar last night. He showed that he could be presidential. He showed that he could constrain himself from insulting Hillary beyond the pale. And that's the only bar he had to cross. She had to do something more than that. She had to prove, why are you running when you've been in there for 30 years and nothing has gotten done under your administration or under the administrations that you were involved in? What have you gotten done? What is your purpose for even running?
Frank, I don't know that Donald Trump was all that presidential, man. I mean, he interrupted and he interrupted and argued with the moderator. He interrupted and Hillary multiple times, just doing wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Check that out.
But normally,
look that up. Wrong.
Chris, when he was doing that was when they were saying something that he had said, and he has long time said that is not the case. And we fact checked it. I've learned that the fact checking in America is controlled by the left. So of course their lies are going to be the truth, and if you fact check them.
But look, what about this rant? You talk about the media. What about this rant that he went on? Call Sean Hannity. Call Sean Hannity. Call Sean Hannity. Look, that should be my new ringtone. Call Sean Hannity. Oh. He said call Sean Hannity like 57 times. We get the point, man.
I'll tell you why. Because what they're using against him is a shock jock interview he done with Howard Stern, where Howard, the bedrock of journalism, asks him basically.
That was sarcasm, right? Just making sure that was sarcasm.
This is the guy that will offer women breast implants to come on and do all kinds of degrading things on his show. So he's the bedrock of journalism here, and he throws a left-hand curve to Trump. Well, what do you think of the war? Should we be in Iraq? Trump says, oh, well, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Now, if somebody's going to say that's an endorsement of a war, they're full of it. But what he was saying about Sean Hannity is Sean was an absolute supporter of the Iraq invasion. And he says, go back to any radio interviews I done with Sean Hannity. And we argued constantly because I was against the war and Sean was for it. That's why he was trying to invoke Sean's name, because Sean can verify that, yes, Trump was always against the Iraq war.
But is that really presidential, man? I mean, he's saying, hey, call Sean Hannity. Let's get Sean Hannity on the phone on this thing.
He was smashing Lester Holt that you guys are lying about it. You're stretching the truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's. Northern Lights.
Ten minutes before the top of the hour, this is Max World live on 99.3 FM. We got about 10 minutes left before we jump over jump over to Salem Radio Network News and Hank, the Bible Answer Man, and you can send us. We're talking about the debate. We're talking about the debate last night. We'd love to hear from you at 515-809-0993. That's the text line. Ron, did we get any texts?
No, unfortunately, we have no further texts.
Ron, you seem sad about that.
I am sad about that. But that's the way it goes.
Why didn't anybody
People are driving. They're not supposed to text and drive, so hey.
But
I'm all for not texting while driving.
but Ron's here to get your texts. Come on, guys. Send him a text. 515-809-0993. Do it safely. Come on, do it safely. And give us a call at 515-244-0077. We're talking about the debate last night. And look, we've got a few minutes left. And Frank, I have to address this. You said that Donald Trump, when he evoked Sean Hannity's name, that he was doing it because they were spreading lies about him, that the moderator was saying that he was for the war when Donald Trump attests to the fact that he's not. Look, I get that, okay? But is it really presidential to say, somebody call my mom? Would somebody just call my mom? Could you just call my mom? If you got my mom on the phone right now, she would tell you. Would somebody call my mom right now? And now I'm replacing, obviously, mom with Sean Hannity. But look, in the middle of this debate, nationally televised, no one was going to pick up the phone and call Sean Hannity and say, hold on, everybody, in the middle of the debate, we want to make sure. Now, Sean, we've got you on the phone here with Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Would you like to set the record straight? That wasn't going to happen. That was childishness. That was foolishness. And he went on and he went on
Chris,
about it.
I would agree with you, except for one thing. In my opinion, at least, the media is so biased toward Hillary Clinton. That's one of the few times he can talk directly to the American people and say, no, this is not something I've said. The media can lie about me all they want. They're going to continue to lie about me. American people, you need to find out the truth yourself. I said over and over and over in actual news interviews that I did not support the war. Yes, during one comment with a shock jock, I said, yeah, maybe the war maybe we do need to go in because it was already going to happen. His chance to tell the truth to 100 million people or however many, that was one of the few times. He's not going to have that audience again, probably.
Well, again, going to that, Pat Buchanan was another person that was anti the Iraq War. And so, clearly Hannity's had these people on his show that he's argued with. And all Trump was saying is, hey, I went round and around with Sean Hannity. Hannity has me on radio interviews. Hannity has me on tape. Hannity knows that I have been vehemently against the war because Sean was for it. That's why we argued about it constantly.
Sean Hannity did not text in, but you can at 515-809-0993. We got a text, Ron.
Yes, Alex came in as basically a question. There are so many people qualified for this position. Why do we only have 2 to choose from? And he asked, what do you guys think of Gary Johnson? And I think Army Brad kind of already answered that, but
yeah,
there you go.
I think we were just talking about in that break. A good one, Alex.
Gary Johnson has the only thing that he is doing positive in a campaign is saying that he's not Clinton or Trump. Every time he opens his mouth in camera, his numbers go down.
That's not very good.
No,
it's not enough to just say I'm the third alternative. And really, right now, Gary Johnson and the Libertarian. Thank you. They're really running on this idea that look, we've got to break up the 2-party system. We've got to come up with another option. We've got to open this thing up a little bit wider. Now, I will say I'm sympathetic to that because, to be honest with you, I'm not happy with either of my choices, and I don't really like the idea that when it comes to the president of the United States, I got to pick between one of these two in terms of who will actually get elected. But I think there's something to consider about voting a third party of some kind simply because I would like to see, it'd be interesting to see a little bit more of a middle debate, a little bit broader of a debate. If we had someone like Gary Johnson in the debate last night, things would have been differently simply because you would have had somebody on the stage that wasn't just these 2 people that would have been fighting back and forth. And right now, any one of us go on our Facebook page and we look at our Facebook news feed and it's just people going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And the tabletop tennis match is getting a little bit old. And if we just had somebody that was, I don't know if we agree with them, but somebody else who could at least shut down the extremes a little bit and say, let's talk about the issues and some real solutions. Well, that would be interesting.
Here's addressing this texter. I mean, okay, you got to have a third party realistic option. You can't have Pat Buchanan running for it one year and Ralph Nader running for it another. So you have to have a legitimate third party. It has to have a name. It has to have candidates that are third party, not people who've rafted over from another party. But here's the problem about third-party candidates. We have right now about a half of our population even votes in a main election. Do you want 30% of the half of the people that vote now running our country? Because basically we need a consensus in this country, and if you get more than two parties involved, we got a segment and a minority of people making our laws and running our country.
Okay.
Sounds good to me. Roloff agrees.
Well, I think a third party needs to actually start from the ground up as opposed to try to jump to the top. If there was, the last time there was a viable third party candidate that I can think of was Ross Perot, and he had support before that. He wasn't just like showed up on the scene at the last minute the way that Mr. Johnson or Governor Johnson did. Governor Johnson, if he was a true libertarian, and if we had seen a libertarian go through a nomination process as opposed to just like, hi, my name's Gary Johnson, I'm the governor of New Mexico, and I'm not Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, and I'm going to make comments that make Donald Trump seem very presidential. Like, I actually know where Aleppo is. I mean, if you're running for president, you should know these things. You shouldn't be talking to news media with your tongue sticking out of your mouth. All kinds of craziness that is all of a sudden making Trump look better and better all the time.
Well, we wanted to hear from you, and we did. We got a lot of feedback today, and I'm really glad that we did. I wasn't worried about filling the time at all, so to speak. There's so much more that can be said on this. Look, we've got a country that is incredibly divided. It's not just divided when it comes to the race issue. I mean, we've got a country that's divided on how we're going to run the country. We've got a country that right now wants more, bigger, larger, massive government. We've had 8 years, or we're about to have 8 years of a growing mega government. And we got a lot of people who like bigger government. And those people are going to vote for Hillary, and she's going to continue to move the can down that road to give us bigger and bigger government. For those of us that want a smaller government, some limited government, some human individual responsibility, who do we got? Right now, for the RNC, you've got Donald Trump, and last night he showed up and he debated Hillary Clinton. Were you changed? Were any of your opinions of Donald Trump changed? We got a lot to think about, a lot to keep praying about. But you know what? The reason that we care about elections and the reason why we vote and the reason why any Christian and anybody should be involved in politics is really because we need to, as Christians, love God first and then love our neighbor. And we got to be involved in politics because the politics and the future of this country affects our neighbor, the policies that are put into place. So if you love your neighbor, you need to be involved in the politics of your community on a local level, on a state level, and a national level. Keep listening. This is 99.3 FM.